This is Andre Touchy Feely. You're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Let's get weird.
This is the Shark, Anthony Avila. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Keto Andrews, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. This is Nan Fan, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast.
I'm a fighter. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fight.
Hey, this is Dave Hirschbein, MMA Gold, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap.
I've worked so hard to do what I got to do in here. I took so much blood for this sport. I took so much pain, everything for this sport.
Hey, y'all, this is Zeke Johnston. You're listening to SRMMA.com Verbal Scrap. Stay tuned. They got some good stuff coming up.
Oh, we're on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. That intro is confusing as hell for me, so we're just going to go ahead right into the show like we normally would. We're here, SRMMA.com, presenting the podcast with Scott Moda in studio. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you, sir.
In case you don't know Mr. Moda, huge MMA fan, been a fan for a while. I've had many arguments with this guy. We've had our battles inside and outside of the MMA cage, although we've never fought inside the MMA cage. I just said inside. He's going to be here arguing with me on the 43rd episode that you are listening now at SRMMA.com. Today we are brought to you by the Muay Thai Global Second Show. Spotlight them coming up June 8th at Jackson Rancheria. You can get tickets now at MuayThaiGlobal.net for their second event. Muay Thai is going to go down Jackson Rancheria. I heard their first event was fantastic. We were able to cover it. I'm finally going to get to see it live. So I'm excited, and if you're in the Sacramento area, you should check it out too, Mr. Moda.
Okay.
Yes, there you go. That's listening. That's product placement. We got so much on the show for you. Justin the Raw Deal Baseman going to be fighting for War MMA. Anthony the Shark Avila is going to be fighting in Japan against Cal Uno. That's going to be crazy. We were able to talk to him about that fight. We were able to cover WFC MMA at the Lake in Tahoe, and also Titans Cage 5 recently for SRMA.com, which you've probably been checking out or probably seen some stuff there already. So UFC 160 is the first thing we're going to be talking about. For you guys that didn't know, Dos Santos Hunt on the card.
Oh, yeah.
Velasquez Silva 2.
Yeah.
And something really big and epic, Gray Maynard and TJ Grant in the lightweight division. Now, before this fight really went down, it's hard to say that anyone saw it playing out the way it did.
No.
I mean, were you? Let's be real. Were you even aware that Maynard was fighting TJ Grant?
I knew Maynard was fighting, and then I was like, oh, yeah, TJ Grant, the guy who keeps winning when everyone's like, no, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. And I was one of those people who's like, oh, don't worry, guys, he's going to lose. Go ahead and put the pizza in, while we're waiting for the fight, and he gets knocked out.
It's some craziness. Well, we're going to check out some highlights first, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Came in perfect at 155 pounds, and he stayed that way with style points.
He sure did. He came out there, and I kind of said since the beginning, Gray Maynard's got to wrestle this guy. I mean, TJ Grant's a come-forward style fighter. Gray lands a nice uppercut. That's something that he landed on Frankie Edgar a few times, but then he gets clipped with this left hook right hand by Grant. Boom, right down the pipe. Beautiful punch. And Grant just smells the blood and goes for the kill and does exactly what he should. Throws nonstop punches, knees up the middle anytime Gray drops his head, and finishes the fight just like he should. Beautiful job by TJ Grant. I can't bet against the guy anymore. I mean, how could you, right? The guy's a killer.
And he got Maynard backing up. I think that's the most effective thing that he did strategically speaking.
Just great killer instincts, great accuracy there to make all of those shots count. Nova Scotia's on the map, ladies and gentlemen. TJ Grant has won 12 of 14 and chael. More importantly, 5-0 at
5-0 now in the division. And something that I also found interesting, that's Gray Maynard's second TKO or knockout loss in a row. I mean, what did you think about the performance that Grant put on, Mr. Moda?
Well, when they were announcing the fight, they're like, Gray Maynard just left his camp. He's in a new camp. He's with new people, new trainers, and everything. I was like, ooh, that's probably not too good. He wasn't feeling good before. He was nursing an injury. I'm like, oh, these are all not good things. And he comes out, chin up, not respecting anything TJ Grant was throwing. He thought he had like the chin of Nick Diaz or something, and didn't turn out that way.
No, it really did not. And I have to say, what was really awesome to see is that Grant was relentless. He didn't go too hard, but he just kept continuing the pace. And every time it looked like Maynard was able to get up and get away like 2-3 steps, boop, right back down.
It was awesome.
Something else on the card I wanted to ask you about. When you heard Glover Teixeira was coming back, he was going to be fighting the New Zealander James Tahuna. What'd you think about the matchup?
I was like, oh, wow. So Rampage Jackson to James. Oh, yeah, he had the cool Men in Black intro.
See, and that's what we talked about is that it may in some ways be a reflection of what the UFC thinks of Rampage or thought of Rampage by giving them to, not that Tehuna's
no, he's not a bad opponent at all.
It's that if Rampage is the higher name level guy,
absolutely,
you know, that it just clearly makes sense that you would get a higher level named guy. Ideally, that's how that, you beat the number 3 team, you hopefully get the number 2 or the number 1 team. You know what I mean?
Especially when you destroy your opponents every time. You know, usually they're like, hey, let's get the guy that people sort of know.
Well, this time Teixeira took on Tehuna, and let's hear the highlights.
Respected too.
Yeah, it sure did, with one exception, and that was the way that Glover got it done. You know, Tehuna's a big puncher, and you can tell just by looking at this guy that he could pull a plane if he needed to. They started throwing heat, and Tehuna actually missed, but Glover respected it. He thought, oh boy, there was a lot of air on that thing. I better get him to the ground. And he did. He did it really successfully. He locks on that choke right there. He gets the win. He gets the applies by who turns out to be his hero. I thought it was Liddell. I guess it's Mike Tyson. He was almost speechless. It was kind of fun to see.
Dominic.
What did you think about when you saw Teixeira once again go in there and dictate pretty much the same way he's been able to do so far?
Yeah, well, when I saw that he was getting the head and arm up there, and I was like, oh, wait, I saw that before at the MGM with you, Joe.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh,
totally
he's
saw that.
Doing it again. He's getting on the right side. Oh, yeah, it's over. It's over. It was beautiful, but it was over. So,
I mean, now that you got Teixeira, he's been able to do what he's done in the UFC. He's beaten Tehuna now. Yep. Like you said, he beat Rampage. I mean, how do you put those two opponents that he's beaten together lately, and where do you put him now?
Well, he's got to go with a top 5 guy, in my opinion. I think he's earned that right to face a top 5 guy, whoever it's going to be. I know it's kind of a weird place in the division right now. It's like, is Jones is nursing injury with the toe. We don't know when he's coming back. Is it going to be Machida?
Which you can check out on SRMA.com. The GIF is still up. Shout out to ZP for making that GIF. And John Jones' broken toe. I don't know if to me, that seems like a career-ending injury. And I might be taking it too far. I'm just saying.
Right.
Just the looks at it, I was like, oh, career's over. John Jones going to have to hang it up. Do you see that toe? It was all bad. Remember, we're here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, the best 43rd show period, brought to you by Muay Thai Global 2, coming up on June 8th. Check out MuayThaiGlobal.net for more. Also, UFC 160, I mean, the matchup that everyone was gunning for, there was even a petition to get one of these guys a title fight, Mark Hunt and Junior Dos Santos. Actually, the winner of this fight has apparently got to be mad at Mike Tyson for taking away his KO of the night bonus. But when you saw Dos Santos-Mark Hunt matchup, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, I knew it was going to be a power match. 2 big guys who like to swing. I thought, maybe Dos Santos, if he felt the power, might try to go for a takedown like Shane Carwin when they fought each other, and which kind of did.
Carwin, another humongous man.
Yes, and that was an awesome fight. But no, they really went toe to toe for pretty much most of the fight, and it was incredible. Both men respecting each other's power. Most definitely.
And Mark Hunt specifically, I mean, did you think that a Dos Santos matchup was warranted? I mean, considering Dos Santos is probably going to be the guy to get the rematch again soon if he starts getting those victories, do you think that the Mark Hunt matchup with Dos Santos was a good one?
Well, you know what? I have to say yes. If you look at him, how he looks physically, and you could go like, well, look at his record from before. But he's on a tear. He's just been winning all these fights in a row. He deserved it.
Well, we're going to check out some highlights before we talk more UFC 160. As soon as I make a sound, and then it starts playing.
Mark Hunt, of course, all the rage when it comes to the fans, but Dominic, JDS got it done in the end.
Man, did he ever. I mean, he came out with his typical style. He's throwing the jab out there. The jab was the biggest tail of this fight, in my opinion. That's what set up the overhand right that he was continuing to land on Mark Hunt. He also made some slight adjustments off that right hand when Hunt started to duck, he started throwing the uppercut. That sets up the overhand right again. That's what it comes down to, is JDS's speed and his power mixed together. Not to mention he threw some takedowns in there, which really offset Mark Hunt. But let's not forget what Mark Hunt does. That guy counters jabs all day long, and his left hook is always something you got to be aware of.
One takedown in this whole fight, he got it and he dominated. He never went back to the takedown. He set up for something to prove. That may be the knockout of the year.
Yeah, certainly a nice way to follow up Vitor Belfort's effort a week ago. So Junior Dos Santos, his 13th career win by knockout or TKO. He's already a 3-time knockout of the night winner in the UFC with the main event for the UFC heavyweight.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Dos Santos, spinning kick. Just saying top 10 thoughts about how the fight would end. Where'd you see that in your top 10?
Nowhere near. That I thought like, oh, maybe, yeah, the overhand right or the uppercut, because he's really good with those. We saw that for Doom. That was beautiful. But my gosh, he threw that in the third round, and he was ahead. You had to think he was ahead. You never know with the judges. But,
the judges could have anything at any time.
They had Roy Nelson winning that fight. So, no, he was ahead the first 2 rounds, and he just throws that out of nowhere. And he caught him actually with, like, it looked more like his calf, the back of the leg. It wasn't like the heel hit him. It was like the calf, and then he followed it up with that big right when he was down. It was beautiful.
I had to say, I thought for a split second that he was going to finish it really early when he dropped Hunt.
Oh, yeah,
with that nice overhand.
Right?
I was like, wow. But then Hunt got back up like instantaneously.
I know.
It's like that guy has to have the bone structure of like Stonehenge or something, because those punches are killers. You're here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, you can download us on iTunes, subscribe to us for free, and check us out on Twitter. I wanted to ask you, sir, Nick Diaz. Yes. New promotion. He's coming out with War MMA. Let's play a little trailer before I ask you some more thoughts.
But you know what? I'm here to fight. I didn't come to play. This shit's not a sport. I came to battle. This is war. And I'm not the one you want. But if I'm what you got, you better give it your all. I'm raw.
June 22nd, Stockton Arena. Nick Diaz putting on a card. When you were told that Nick Diaz was going to be getting a promoter's license, what did you first think?
I couldn't believe it. I was actually shocked. I mean, I'm happy. And he's doing it in Stockton, his hometown. They need something like this. The city just filed bankruptcy and all these terrible things, and he's giving back to community, and he's really doing a big deed for the local scene, and all these fighters.
Well, the fight card is going to have a main event of the evening, Daniel Roberts and Justin the Raw Dale Baseman. We were able to talk to Baseman about his fight coming up, so let's hear what he had to say. This is JYSRMMA.com. We're on the Verbal Scrap Podcast with Justin the Raw Deal Baseman. How you doing today, sir, in preparation for this big coming fight on the 22nd?
Good. I'm getting ready like crazy. Hit the gym 3 times yesterday and the gym twice today, but it's also my birthday weekend, so I'm grabbing on some tri-tip right now. Besides that, good, man. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Congratulations on getting a year older and still being alive while all these other people are passing away around us.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
You're going to be competing on the crazy War MMA card that's going to be happening in Stockton. Nick Diaz is going to be putting on his first card from his new promotion. What do you think about the word you got when you were going to be main event, and how'd you kind of get a hold of that and get involved with those guys?
Oh, yeah, man. Riley's been working his magic on that. So big shout out to 5150. Riley's doing his thing. So when he told me about it, I was like, oh, wow, just to be on the card, I was really excited. But then I heard, I might be, main event. I lost it, man. I'll be honest with you, man. I had a moment in the kitchen. I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is a big fight for me. I'm excited, and with the Nick thing, it's going down in history. So I'm just blessed to be a part of it, and it brings motivation when I hit the gym. I've been going crazy since I've seen that poster, man. Me and Robert's up there, man. It fires me up.
Well, like you said, you're going to be fighting Daniel Roberts, the UFC veteran. He's been there recently, not too long ago. He was there last year. He's been able to win his last 2 fights. What do you think about him as an opponent?
Oh, yeah, I think he's a really tough opponent, and, it's an honor to fight him. I love fighting these tough guys, that's been around and champions, and, I love a good challenge, and I like jumping up in ranks and getting these belts and trying to get to the big show, so the better the opponent, the bigger the step. It's kind of the way I see it.
Well, this particular guy, Roberts, he hasn't, as a professional, gotten a knockout victory, but he's got a wealth of submission victories. Are you aware of that? And do you think that he's going to want to take this to the ground, or do you think he's going to be bringing stand-up your way?
I can't call it. I'm just trying to be ready for everything, especially on the ground. I've been working my ground a lot. But, I fell in love with the ground, I want to say, when I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter back in Chicago. Was it like 5, 6 years ago? I just fell in love with the ground and just been trying to get better every day. And, my stand-up's pretty good. So just been kind of working everything and getting ready. I know this is going to be a really tough fight. So I'm excited, that brings motivation as well when I'm at the gym.
Well, also this fight coming up, it has been reported that Diaz was having a little bit of difficulty with his license. I don't know if they keep you guys in the loop too much about that, but have you been given any indication that there might be any worry the event might not happen?
Yeah, I heard a little bit something like they need to hurry up and get it together, but yeah, I'm pretty sure everything's fine and gonna work just fine, so I'm not worried.
Well, being in Stockton, you know, Nick Diaz obviously wanting to bring Stockton fights, build them there. I mean, what do you think about being involved with that card and knowing that Stockton is also putting on a lot of work to try and build cage fighting and combat fighting and take violence out of the streets, and all of this kind of plays into that?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping to maybe fight again, even on the war card in the next show. But Daniel's, like I said, he's a really good opponent. He's ranked really well. I think he's ranked in the hundreds, so you know, like 109, 110. So if I get a ranking like that, man, that'd be a good, you know, a good thing for me, a good W for me. So I might be able to move up, like I'm saying, you know, hoping to get to the big show like everybody's going for. You know, just I could see it right now. I can almost grab it. So I'm coming at Daniels with everything I got, and I'm just gonna try to get through him and move up. You know, and I know they want more excitement out of my fights, and you know, I give a lot of good, exciting fights, but I know what they mean, and I'm just gonna try to come aggressive and tricky and really, you know, get a good solid W and move forward in my career.
Well, this year so far, you've been able to pull off 3 victories. You're undefeated. I mean, what would it mean to you to go the rest of 2013 without another blemish on your record, especially since you've won 7 of your last 8?
Yeah, I don't know, Johnny. I don't think about it like that. You know, I'm really pissed about the 3 that I have, even though I avenged 1. And it just, I try not to think about it so much to where it's not there. I still feel undefeated. In my head, I'm undefeated. And I got to keep thinking that. And once I'm convinced that I've been defeated 1 too many times, I might freaking retire. But, you know, just trying to get this good record and keep it building and keep doing good, you know, and try not to think about it too much. Just because then I get too much pressure on me, you know. I already got so much pressure on me. And, you know, I love my people in my corner and my fans and my friends and my family and even you guys, you know, you guys keep me going strong. But, man, it's crazy. There's a lot of pressure. So trying to think about it. I just want to get past this guy and just keep moving forward, you know, keep getting better in my craft and just staying focused, you know.
Well, one of the last things I wanted to ask you, you tell me often, you know, you're going to take a fight, you may take a little break and see what you got going on, and the next thing I know, boom, you're taking a fight somewhere, you pop right back in the cage. How do you get a hold of all these fights? I mean, do people keep contacting you now that you're doing so well? What's the ideas behind, you know, taking these particular fights when you hopped on Gladiator Challenge and the one that didn't go through the last time, but you've been hopping on fights left and right?
Well, you know, Riley has a lot of connections, so, you know, big shout out to Riley again. He's got crazy connections, you know. We've been in the game for a while, so when we do see a good opportunity, you know, we try to jump on it. We're just trying to stand out a little bit, trying to stay really busy and, you know, try to stack them W's because everybody loves a winner, you know. So I'm just trying to get these damn W's and keep stacking them, you know. So we're just trying to stay busy, but we're really excited about this fight. I'm really excited about this fight, man. I'm probably gonna get off the phone and go run, you know, just talking about it, you know. So, you know, we're happy. We're just trying to stay busy and get there.
Well, June 22nd, you'll be taking on Daniel Roberts in Stockton, California. The War MMA card. Check out nickdiaz.tv for more information. I want to thank you for your time and give you an opportunity to give thanks and shout outs, my friend.
Shout out to 5150 MMA Gold, Fighting Non-Stars, McKinney, Fight Core, Blood Happens, Get Some, MMA KO, Liquid Nitro, Barcia's MMA Gear, and Creative Vision Printing. And shout out to you guys, you know, Verbal Scrap. You guys are, thank you for throwing me in the beginning of that. I love that. You know, I listen to the show all the time. If anybody's listening to the show right now, tell your friends about it. Let's get it cracking because I love these guys, man. So thank you.
Man, thank you for your time and thank you for the shout out. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, my friend.
All right, man. Have a good one.
We're back on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. You just heard Justin the Raw Deal Baseman. Big shout out to him and good luck to him on June 22nd. SRMA.com will definitely have some coverage for you after that show. We're also talking about UFC 160. You've heard a lot about Dos Santos and Hunt. Some other stuff that SRMA was able to cover live was WFC's MMA at the Lake in Tahoe at Mont Bleu recently. Christopher Nolasco was able to pull out a first-round submission victory, and I spoke to him after the bout, so let's hear his thoughts.
It's JWA from SRMA.com. We're here live at WFC MMA at the Lake, victorious once again with Chris Nolasco. This time you were able to get a nice shoulder choke. It looked like you were in the guillotine for a majority of the time. I mean, before that, I mean, what did you think about the fight? You know, you said you were coming off a loss and you were looking to redeem yourself. I mean, what did you think you did that in this fight?
I really believe I did redeem myself. To be honest, he had a deep guillotine choke, but once I stepped into full mount, you know what I mean, there's not too much leverage that you can get. So I saw that he made the mistake and put his arm on the side where I can get the shoulder choke, man. And I believe I redeemed myself, and I feel great, man.
Well, in the opening minutes, it looked like he was a game opponent. You guys were exchanging as early as often as possible. What did you think about your opponent coming into the cage? What do you think he brought your way and the adjustments that you made?
Oh, man, he's a beast, man. He's really strong. He really did have a deep choke, you know what I mean? It's just that I just knew exactly how to get out of it, to be honest. But, man, he's a game opponent, you know what I mean? I'm sure he's going to be back stronger than ever. He's classy as heck in defeat, you know what I mean? And you learn a lot sometimes more when you lose, you know what I mean, than when you win, because you think that you can win all the time, you know what I mean? You learn a lot when you lose, and he'll be back, you know what I mean? But Maximilian is a game opponent.
Well, when I was standing out in the crowd, it looked like the Nolasco fan base is growing. I mean, what do you feel to have the support like that there, and a lot of people screaming for you guys?
Oh, I love the support. My family is very supportive. Whether they're here or not, they're still supportive, you know what I mean? But we're going to be getting more and more people coming to our fights, more and more people that have the shirts to represent Team Nolasco, more and more fans cheering for us, whether it's our family or just new fans that we're making, you know what I mean? But we're going to be here. I want to fight as often as possible, as often as they'll let me, and I just want to keep growing in this sport and be a champion someday, a pro champion.
The last thing I want to ask you want to give thanks or support to anybody in particular?
To be honest, yes, I want to thank God first and foremost. I want to thank Rob Harrow for coming to Sacramento, California to train with us and teaching us some things, KOA for giving us these Team Nolasco shirts, and all my fans and family and everybody who came out to support me.
You can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thank you for talking to us, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Also on the card, Aaron Hamilton was able to showcase his hands in a devastating first-round finish. So let's hear his thoughts. After the fight, he was very excited, very calm, very cool and collected, and I was very thankful to speak to him. So let's hear what he had to say.
It's JWA from SRMA.com. We're here live at WFC Lake Tahoe at Mont Bleu. Post-fight victorious Aaron Hamilton. Made short work of Sean Nelson. What'd you feel about the fight overall? How you feeling coming out of it? It looked like you were able to establish your striking.
Yeah, I'm excited and happy the fight went that way. I didn't take any damage. I kind of wish it would have went a little bit longer, because I had some moves that I've been working on, but oh, well, win is a win, so especially a short one, so I'm happy.
It looked like you were able to catch him with a nice couple punches. I believe it was a right and then a left. I mean, what did you see when you dropped him? Did you think that he was definitely stunned, or did you wait a second? I mean, what were your thoughts coming in to hop on top of him like the way you did?
Just before we walked out, my corner guys told me, you know, if he comes in too close, just, you know, kind of throw that overhand a little bit. So I did a jab straight, well, kind of a hook or over, and it landed because he pressured me a lot. And so I just cut him off with the punch. He went down, and I was going to try to go for a guillotine originally, but he was pretty strong, you know. But my jiu-jitsu worked out, and then got on top and pinned one arm down and start swinging.
That's what I was going to ask you. You know, I'm a fan of the brutality of the sport at times. It looked like you were able to pin that arm down. Is that something you try to do in training, or is that just something you felt in the cage and went with it?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that in training. Not for striking, but it works with jiu-jitsu to get position, you know, so that's the only time I really use that move. But I just saw it, and it came to me, say, hey, grab the wrist and hold him down and start punching, and hopefully he doesn't get up, you know, so that was it worked out.
Well, they said you were training independently coming into the fight. I mean, is that by choice? Are you looking around? I mean, what are your options in MMA right now?
I was training at a gym in Stockton, but they relocated to a different city. So, you know, with work, so it's kind of difficult for me to travel out there where they're at now. So I train on my own a lot, and I have a couple guys that help me out. I go to a different gym, so I'm kind of searching freelance right now.
Well, last thing before we let you go, do you have any thanks, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
To my corner, my original corner guys weren't able to make it. So Max Griffin and the other guy, excuse me, I forgot his name, but they both helped me out a lot and prepared me for this fight. A couple trainers at home, my boxing coach Mike and my boy Julian, you know, they helped me out too as well.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for your time, Aaron.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Ronnie Vide of Team Carnage in Sacramento, California, was also on the card at WFC, pulled out the victory. We were able to speak to him after the bout, so let's hear his thoughts.
It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at WFC Lake Tahoe with Ronnie Vide. You were victorious. I mean, what did you think about the fight, now coming out with a war, being your first victory in the amateur ranks? I mean, what are your thoughts about it?
It was a good experience coming up here. The altitude really hits you in the final round. Like, my fight went the distance, and I should definitely want to come up here like a week or two early and get used to the altitude being from Sacramento.
Well, talking to Coach Rumsey before, he said, you're having a lot of difficulties in training leading up to this, but you look like you were able to excel and overcome them. I mean, how did you overcome the difficulties you had preparing for this fight, and how did you feel inside the cage?
When I started this sport, I'm tough, and that's just me. I got a tough chin. It's hard to knock me out, and I won't quit. So I got tested tonight.
Well, you were able to land some really quality shots. I mean, what did you think about your opponent's chin and his striking coming back your way?
I think he's a 18-year-old version of myself. He's very tough. He's only 18. He's got a bright future.
Well, just a couple more things for you. I mean, what do you want to do moving forward? Where does MMA fit in your life?
I'm going to just keep going as far as it can get me, and we'll go from there.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you, moving on from this, I mean, what do you take from this fight into your next fight if you want to move forward, and what do you think you can better, and what do you think you did well?
I think just cardio. I know I got hip power. I know I'm tough, and at 170, it's going to be almost impossible to knock me out. So if I step up my cardio and, just work technique, the sky's the limit.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thank you for talking to us, Ronnie.
Yeah, thank you.
Main event of the evening, Matt Brumer of Sacramento, California, was able to pull out the first round TKO victory, and he was pumped after the fight, and he was excited to get the win in the main event. So I spoke to him after the bout, so let's hear what he had to say.
It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at WFC Lake. MMA at the Lake, post-fight, victorious Matt Brumer. I mean, now you're still undefeated. You were able to get the quick victory. I mean, what did you think about your performance?
I thought it was good. I had to gain weight for this fight, so I really sacrificed my cardio. So I knew I had to get done the first round, and I knew he didn't have any ground game. So I've been wrestling my whole life. So decided to take it to the ground and just go all out for it in the first round. Take my chance.
Well, it looked like the fans were definitely happy to see that. Oh, yeah. I mean, what did it feel like when he finally got the finish and when the referee finally pulled you off?
I felt so relieved because I've been working so hard to gain this weight. Last week we had 3 different opponents that all dropped out, so every week it was into a different weight class, so it was just a lot of pressure. Everyone's here watching tonight, so I was just glad to get it over with.
Well, being undefeated, what's training been like for you to try and keep that streak going, and what's the atmosphere like at the gym?
It's good. Every time I win, the trainer makes the train even harder when I come back. So we're going to have a good time tonight and then hit the gym again on Tuesday. So.
Well, that's the last thing I wanted to ask you. Do you have any thanks, any shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Oh, yeah, of course. My wife, Katya. I love her and my newborn baby daughter, Milana. I love them both. And everybody keep watching out for me because I'm going to be in the UFC soon, I promise.
My post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thanks for talking to us, Matt.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You're here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, the best 43rd show, period, with your host, Jay Watt, and Scott Moda in studio. The Scott Moda, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Of Legion's Requiem, a band we've definitely had on the show before. Give you an opportunity. You got anything coming up with the band you want to, drop on the fans? Maybe an exclusive little name drop or anything?
Okay, well, dropping bands, is that what you want me to do? Give you some good Sacramento bands? Is that what you're saying?
No. First, let's start with a good Sacramento band, Legion's Requiem.
Okay,
all
right.
What is Legion's Requiem doing in the foreseeable future?
Well, we just put up a new track last week on Reverb Nation, as well as our own Facebook page. It's Facebook/Legion's Requiem Band. It's called Inch of Spine, and we got a newer song. Newester song in the Woodses on that's going to be coming out probably this Wednesday.
It's on the Facebook. You can find more information on the Facebook. Also on our Facebook, facebook.com/SRMMA. Who would have thought? You can find all kinds of good stuff. Please like our page, share our stuff. We appreciate all our fans. And at Twitter, at SRMMA Tweets. You can also download us on iTunes. On the 43rd episode, we are brought to you by MMA Gold. Check them out. They're a full-service fighter apparel and management team. MMAGold.com for more details. I'm going to be asking you, sir, about some Forrest Griffin. Did you know he retired?
Yeah.
I want to hear more.
The newly retired Forrest Griffin, out of nowhere. Dana White announces at the press conference just now that you're retiring. Where did this come from?
He called me today about 4 o'clock. He was like, hey, you going to the fights? I was like, yeah, bud. What's up? You need something? He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and announce your retirement today. I was like, all right, good deal. So I didn't have time to change clothes. It's funny.
But what if you didn't want to retire?
I talked to him a month ago about it. So, like I said, after the Stan Vanderlei fight, and I had that, talk to yourself. Can you put one more of those or two more of those out there? And I was like, I didn't know if I could. And if you don't know, the answer is no. Kind of like my mom used to say about women. If you got to ask, it's a no.
So you're sitting at home watching that fight, and then it hits you that if I can't do that, I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah, what's the point? I mean, obviously I'm not trying to be the champ anymore, and if I can't put a fight like that on, it's time to, quit fighting.
What do you think about Forrest Griffin's words?
Well, they're very true, and I think that's awesome. He was a fan favorite. He put in his time, his sweat, and his blood, and he wasn't always the best fighter, you would say, probably skill-wise of all time, but he had a ton of heart, and he laid it out there every time.
Well, I mean, Forrest, what did you think about where he was? He seemed to be like the underdog that was succeeding and beating guys that no one may have given him credit for right away, and then it seemed like he was tailing off. I mean, what do you think maybe might have been his downfall? You think it was age, time? I mean, what do you think it is?
Injuries. Every time that guy was pulling out of fights because of injuries, and it's due to age and his training. I heard he was a monster and stuff when he trained, and that catches up to you. And he was in wars. He was in a lot of wars. And he was a good, I'm happy for him, real happy for him.
Well, UFC 160, Velasquez and Silva too. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. Let's hear the highlights, and then we'll be discussing
title
it more.
Champion Cain Velasquez looking to make good on his first title defense as he squared up with a familiar foe, the challenger Antonio Bigfoot Silva. They met 364 days ago. More of the same here tonight.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think that anybody that saw the fight kind of saw it going this same way, unless Bigfoot was going to have a little bit of luck. I will tell you, he stopped the shot early, which was a surprise, but then Cain lives a devastating blow right here, which was equally as big of a surprise. That was the beginning of the end. He spun around and finished him, and Dana puts the belt back on him again.
So 10th career victory by knockout or TKO for Cain Velasquez. He looked good, man. He looked lean all week. This is a guy who is going to be very difficult to dethrone. And for Bigfoot Silva, his momentum is snapped here tonight. But when you start to look at Cain Velasquez in this current run,
how do you not see Velasquez defeating an entire division now? I mean, when he got beat by Dos Santos, people had questions. But it seems like what he was saying and the injuries and stuff like that, pretty much accurate, and he's back and better than ever before.
Sure. Well, I think the only guy who could probably beat him right now is Junior Dos Santos. Even saying that, I think it's a tough matchup. It's
definitely
a good
want to
fight
see
every
another
time.
one.
Yeah, rubber match. Let's do it.
Well, after seeing Dos Santos and Velasquez do what they did, what do you think about a potential third now?
Well, it's definitely going to happen. It's the fight that Dana said's going to happen for he said it's the obvious matchup. That's what he called it. And I think it'll be a good fight. Junior better get his takedown defense up and learn to keep his chin down. Respect Cain Velasquez's hands, and Cain's got to be smart against Junior, wear him down, and don't get hit.
Definitely don't get hit as much as possible. You're on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, brought to you by Midtown Village Cafe on 19th and I Street. Check them out. They got all kinds of stuff from sandwiches, breakfast burritos to coffee. They got comedy shows, bands coming in, open mics. You got to check them out. MidtownVillageCafe.com for more information. Some stuff you might see at SRMMA.com now. Some of our top news. Luis Gonzalez signs with World Series of MMA after his WFC 5 victory, continues his unbeaten streak. Also, rumors of Team MMA Gold and Team Carnage maybe collaborating and getting together. You never know what's going to happen. Team Carnage and MMA Gold both in the Sacramento area. So some of that stuff. Also, Art of War teamed up with up-and-comers to become kind of their feeders. So those guys are going to be partnering together with their new products and sharing fighters and building fighters. So you can check out SRMA.com for more of that information. And also on June 22nd, Gilbert Melendez is putting on a fight card. Amateur fight card going to be happening down in Discovery Kingdom. So check out SRMA.com for more of that information. Now, I want to talk about Little Nog news. You were informing me of something I had not known of. Please inform the fans.
Well, it seems he had to pull out due to injury, undisclosed injury as of right now.
Little Nog is going to be fighting
Shogun
Hua.
So they need a replacement opponent ASAP.
Stat. We need one stat.
We need it bad.
Well, let me get to something that I find to be quite interesting. Is a matchup I hadn't pondered much before, but Rashad Evans going to be fighting Dan Henderson, UFC 161. I mean, what are your thoughts about this matchup, my friend?
I like it. I like it a lot. That's a good matchup. You know, I think Rashad had a tough outing his last one. He didn't look like your standard Rashad in his last fight against Lil Nog. And I think Dan Henderson, when he's not fighting Machida, you know, he's going to be a beast and a hard time for most people. Rashad's got speed. He's got technique. He's low. He's hard to, you know, to get in on, but he doesn't like getting hit too hard in the head. He was wobbled by John Jones, who hasn't. And then he was also, you know, Machida put him out, as we all know. And actually, when he fought Thiago Silva a long time ago, he was shook in the third round as well. So it's questionable on his chin, but he's a hell of an athlete.
Well, when we were able to scour the internet, it turns out Henderson and Evans have been able to say quite a bit about this matchup themselves. But coming up on June 15th, UFC 161 light heavyweight bout is going to be happening. Evans and Henderson. Henderson shared a few words. I found a couple of them interesting, so we're going to take a quick little listen.
Dan Henderson, he possesses with his right hand one of the most devastating weapons in all of mixed martial arts. You want to talk one-punch knockout power. Nobody embodies that better than Dan Henderson.
I'm going to use the best tools that I have to try to win this fight, and knocking him out is one of those things that is one of my best tools. I'm definitely going to at least try and knock him silly and put him on his back that way, take him down, put him on his back there, and try and wear him out. Rashad he's dangerous. He's a good wrestler. He's able to just kind of come at you and be real solid, and you know, he's good on his feet. And, you know, he's solid everywhere. Rashad's accomplished a lot in MMA, and it's going to be a battle, and those are the things I absolutely love about this sport, and that's why I do it, is the challenge that different opponents bring. And you know, he's a different challenge than almost anyone I've fought, so I'm really looking forward to that. That's what gets me excited about this fight. Will I defeat Rashad Evans? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gonna call a winner. I know it's a little early, but you got to call one. It's June 15th, so it's the month. You got to make it happen. What's your pick?
Oh, God. You know what? This one's a messed up one to try to make a call on, honestly. Okay.
So you can't cop out.
Yeah,
It sounded a lot like a cop out coming. Too bad. Hey, producer Dennis, we need to get a cop out sound for the next show. It would sound like cop out.
You know what? I'm going to be mean. I'm going to be mean right now. I'm going to say Rashad wins it. Even though I could see him getting knocked out, I'll say Rashad wins it because I don't like TRT. There you go.
TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Well, that's a whole nother story that we have absolutely nothing on the agenda to talk about.
That's fine.
So we're going to have to postpone that until your next one. We got a lot more in store. Anthony the Shark Avila, UFC, WFC lightweight champion, wants to go be in the UFC. He's got a huge fight with Cal Uno coming up. That might be the ticket to get him in there. We got an interview with him and more coming up. Our Titans Cage 5 coverage. But first, I wanted to take this second to introduce our musical guest, Deadlands. We're going to be playing a song of theirs. Tell us a little bit more, Mr. Moda.
Deadlands, they're an awesome band. I've had the opportunity to play a couple shows with them. We did a show with Death Angel, and they got the crowd going. They did a sick cover of Dio's Last in Line. They got a real singer, and it's heavy, groovy music. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was sold when I was listening just before the show, so I'm definitely excited to hear it. And the name was Pandemic Genocide? That's the name of the song title. It sounds a lot prettier. It doesn't sound pretty. I was just lying. But the song is amazing. Yeah. So, and they're also a local band. You've seen them around here in the scene?
You can see them. They got a Facebook page, a Reverb page. I wish I could just tell you what that was.
Oh, yeah. I'll get you later.
Yeah, they'll look them up. And they're also fans of mixed martial arts. They had a song that we couldn't put it on here because they didn't have it up, but it was called Ground and Pound that they played live. And I was like, oh, sweet. So they should be on the show.
MMA fans, Sacramento, that is two things we support big time at srma.com. So let's now play Pandemic Genocide from Deadlands.
WHO has ordered that everybody has to be by force injected. The target is to get rid of so many people as possible and to get as much money for them as possible.
We are back on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, brought to you by OneFitBody.net. If you're looking for massage therapy, gym health from integrated therapy systems and more from our boy Ty Silva in El Dorado Hills area, you can check out OneFitBody.net for more information. Here in studio with Scott Moda, you enjoying the show so far, my friend?
I am. This is a good one.
Not as awesome as a Legion's Requiem show. I mean, I have to say, being in there, Pitt is going to be really hard to compete against here with on the show.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad you're on. I'm glad you're here to talk the sport with us. We got a lot more coming, including some Frank Mir fight news, all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you're interested in being a part of SRMA.com, contributing, writing, taking photos in any way, you can email us info@srmma.com or email me directly jw@srmma.com for more. If you're interested in advertising, you got a show coming up, products, you can always hit us up, info@srma.com by email and get more information on how to get involved with that. We got an HBO Boxing After Dark preview. We're going to take a quick listen before we get into some more MMA news.
Hi, I'm Andre Ward, and I'm here to break down the Chad Dawson-Adonis Stevenson fight. Chad Dawson is a decorated champion. He's a light heavyweight champion of the world. He's coming off of a devastating loss to myself, and he has to prove and show, and not only can he deal with the young knockout artist in Adonis Stevenson, but can he still take a punch, and can he still regain his footing and become the dominant champion that he once was. Adonis Stevenson is coming into this fight with a lot of fanfare. He's very powerful, he's very strong, but he's yet to fight a fighter of Chad Dawson's caliber. Can he deal with Chad Dawson the way that he's dealt with everyone else and do it at home? This is a fight you don't want to miss. Tune in June 8th on HBO.
Now, for MMA fans, big news in the female region. You know, Kat Zagano, we saw her fighting Miesha Tate. That was an awesome finish.
Awesome.
Recently injured, not going to be competing on the show. Miesha Tate gets brought in. What are your thoughts?
I don't like I'm just going to say it, when someone's coming off of a loss into a championship fight, but I know they're trying to build this women's division. I do understand that. I completely get that. And she was game and ready to do it. And they had probably one of the biggest fights on Strikeforce when they were both a part of that company. And it was an exciting fight. I mean, it ended the way it always ends against Ronda Rousey.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think that now that a good amount of time has gone by, people have been able to see what Rousey does? Obviously, Rousey's extremely dominant, like a John Jones kind of thing, where they're going to do these certain things. They still do them well, regardless of what you do. But do you think they're going to be something different, or do you think it might be like a Velasquez Silva 2 thing that we kind of watch? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a repeat. Honestly, and anything can happen. I hope she's learned some skills to get around it, but that judo is sick, and when she's on the ground, she is deadly. With that arm bar, she's going to get it, and she's very strong and aggressive getting it.
Well, UFC President Dana White, he always seems to chime in. He had something to say about it, so let's hear his thoughts.
From Kaz Ngannou and her people, and basically she was training, getting ready for the Ultimate Fighter to come here and coach, and she blew her ACL, damaged her meniscus and something else in her knee. So she was devastated, obviously. She was completely bummed out. This is the biggest opportunity of her career, of her life. She actually is in surgery right now. She just got out, and they just told me that the surgery was a success. They took the cadaver, the Achilles from the cadaver, and put it in her knee, which is the strongest, ligament. And the doctor said it was a complete success. Changes the dynamics a lot. For those of you that don't know, Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate do not like each other at all. They have been, battling verbally and physically for years. And now they're going to be living together here for 6 weeks, coaching 2 opposite teams and trying to win this competition. So it's going to be an interesting season.
I think it will be an interesting season as well, because I think Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey are going to make so much money being on TV for the UFC, because everyone's going to tune in to see pretty ladies punch each other.
That's true. That's true.
Hearing what Dana White says, about the excitement level and knowing that they don't like each other, regardless of what you think about, the matchup being made, knowing that it will be made, what do you think about them actually living together all this time before they fight? Do you think that something might happen in there that just kind of tweaks your excitement a little bit? I mean, 6 weeks of 2 females who hate each other next to each other like every day. I'm just saying, I don't know much about many things, but I do know that those things together is bad. For 6 weeks, all bad.
All bad. All bad. I think it'll be good television, and they'll hype it, and it'll be one of those things. I mean, how many times have we seen, it's supposed to be, these guys don't like each other, and they're going to be on tough. Chael Sonnen and John Jones, the last one, we just saw that, and they were very nice people. And I think Ronda, all this thing with her and Miesha, it's not that she doesn't like Miesha as much. She doesn't like Misha's boyfriend more. So that's really where the drama is going to take place. And I guess we'll get to enjoy it, because I'm going to watch it.
I'm going to watch it. That is not the point.
I don't have a choice.
Well, also on the show, we're going to be getting into our TTC5 Titans Cage coverage. So much in store. But one of the matchups we wanted to talk about was a championship matchup, Mike Sabala versus Kevin Wiley. We spoke to both of them afterwards. It was a split decision. It went to Sabala's way. So let's first hear Wiley, and then we'll hear Sabala.
This is Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 5, post-fight, Kevin Wiley. The fight didn't go your way. Unanimous decision for the other opponent, but it was really close. What are your thoughts on the matchup?
I think that I did a lot of good things, to make the fight go my way, but, the judges didn't see it that way. Michael Sabala did a few good things to obviously make the judges see it in his favor, so, there's no change in that.
It looked like the rounds were usually pretty close. What did you think about the stoppages throughout the fight? Do you feel like some of them were unwarranted, or do you feel like they were all pretty fair when it was the knee strikes, eye pokes, stuff like that?
I believe that the first knee strike to the face, that was definitely, a good stoppage. But the last 2 strikes, where the ref decided to stop it, I don't believe, those were things that happened with actions, to have it be stopped. So I think those were kind of, funny right there.
Well, it being a title fight, what did you think coming into this one? Did you have any sort of game plan, and how did it play out during the actual bout?
My game plan was basically, what I did in the fight. Go ahead, stick and move, and just, try to push it to him as best as possible. The fact that it was a title fight didn't really change too much. I come to fight, same preparation basically every fight, but, just different game plans for every fight.
It looked like the second round, from my viewpoint, was your most dominant round. You were able to do some things really successful, especially when you had him on the ground. I mean, what were you thinking when he was on the ground? You had the top position.
As usual, anybody else, kill, kill, kill. I come from a football field, so that's what I'm bred to do. So whenever I see an opportunity to get blood, that's what I go after.
The last thing before we let you go, what are you looking forward to next after this title fight?
Well, hopefully my next fight, goes better than this. I come out with a win, and hopefully we can look for that next title belt. And next time, hopefully we can get it. No mistake about it.
Well, last thing before we let you go, you have any shout-outs, any thanks you'd like to give?
I'd love to give a shout-out to my wonderful girlfriend, Jackie, my mom, of course, my sponsors, Team Your Fight, Oscar Martinez Bell Bonds, Inspiring Designs, and Wiley & Wiley Trucking.
You can find post-fight coverage at srmma.com. Thank you so much for talking to us, Kevin.
Hey, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it, man.
This is Angelo Avila from SRMMA.com. We are here with the new Titans Cage middleweight champion, Mike Zabala. Mike, outstanding performance. Talk us through the fight.
Oh, man, coming up to the fight, let's see, I had an opponent drop out 3 days before the fight. So Wednesday night, while I'm at work, 9 o'clock, they offered me this title shot against Kevin Wiley. Same record. We're both 1-1 in our amateur career. I was a little nervous. He's very athletic, and he's just like me, man. We do this for fun. We do it for the thrills. We do it because it makes us feel exhilarated. And even at the weigh-ins, man, we were laughing and acting very, very buddy. So, man, this fight, I did some things different. My composure was there. I wanted to work on my kicks and my takedowns, and it paid off doing that.
You were pressing forward a lot with a lot of really good combinations set up with your inside and outside leg kicks. Was that something you had planned going in?
No. What I really wanted to do was work on the tie clinch and my takedowns. I did want to use my kicks, but for some reason, my kicks were just being very, very fluent, especially that inside kick. I've always been scared to hurt my foot or hurt my leg kicking, but actually doing it this time in a fight felt really, really good, man.
And you're now the Titans Cage middleweight champion. Are you planning on defending it soon, or?
Man, I plan on defending this all the way up until I'm a pro 170, 155er, man.
Well, congratulations, Mike. You are the new Titans Cage middleweight champion.
Also on the card, Travis Rich was able to get a really quick submission victory. I don't even know if he got it fully sunken in, but it looked like he had a standing anaconda over Casey Saunders. We were able to speak to Travis after the bout, so let's hear his thoughts.
This is Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 5. Post-fight victorious Travis Rich. I mean, what do you think about the quick finish? You were able to go in there. He looked like he wanted to get the takedown immediately, and you sunk in the slick choke.
I was surprised he went out so quickly. I wanted to stand there and strike with him a little bit, but obviously he didn't want any part of that. And, it was over really quickly.
Well, the finish itself, I mean, did you see that once he went in for the takedown, or is it something that you saw throughout the event?
He went in for the takedown. I got my arm under. I didn't even lock in a full guillotine. He just went out, so, yeah.
Well, being your debut here in camo, I mean, what did you think about the experience being inside the cage and having the support that you did?
I was pretty nervous. I was very nervous, but it was good. I'm ready to do it again.
Well, moving on from this experience, do you take anything from that fight? I mean, and if you don't, what do you want to do moving forward? Is this more like a career for you, hobby? Where are you at right now?
It's probably not a career. I'll probably try it again, but I was only planning to do one fight after this. It's hard to just, I was 10 seconds long. I'd like to do it some more. So.
Well, last thing before we let you go, do you have any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Thanks to everyone I'm training with at Ultimate Fitness, Dion, Kenneth. Those guys all help me out all the time. So.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at srma.com. I want to thank you for your time, Travis.
Thank you.
You're here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, brought to you by Midtown Village Cafe. Check them out at midtownvillagecafe.com for more. Also on the card, Vincent Bordy was able to win the light heavyweight amateur title from the Titans Cage 5 event. He beat Oscar Castro. We were able to speak to him after the bout, so let's hear his thoughts.
This is Angelo Avila from SRMMA.com. We are here live at Titans Cage 5 with the new Titans Cage light heavyweight champion, Vincent Bordy. Vincent, tremendous performance. Talk us through the fight.
I went in there. I think I should have had a little bit more respect for him. You know, his length, I just kept telling myself in my head, I was like, his length is not going to be that big of a deal. But then, you know, once I went in there, I saw that, like, I couldn't reach him. I had trouble reaching him, and he had a, you know, because his reach was just too long. So, you know, the first round was not as productive as I wanted it to be. I landed a lot of good strikes, but I think it could have been a lot better. Second round, I started opening up. I could tell I hurt him. Instead of going for the kill, I was trying to keep a steady pace. I wasn't trying to overexert myself. And third round, I just had a little bit of fun. So.
You showed some real dominating wrestling in that fight. Was that the strategy going into out-wrestling?
Yeah, because they said some things about my wrestling, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I'm a state finalist, and he was he made it to Masters in high school, so, you know, he didn't really have a good wrestling pedigree. You know, I'm a college wrestler, and he's telling me, you know, he's questioning my wrestling skills, so I just, you know, showed him what was up right there.
I don't think anybody can question your wrestling skills after that fight, Vincent. Right? And what are your plans for the future? You're going to defend that belt?
Yeah, I'll defend that belt if Sean wants to give me the opportunity to. I'm trying to stay active. You know, you know, it's really good that I didn't get any injuries. Nothing's hurt. You know, I didn't mess up my pretty at all. You know, no strike, you know, nothing wrong. You know, no strikes in the face. So I think fight, you know, next week if I had to. You know, I'm gonna try and keep it up. I'm gonna try and be as active as possible. My plan is to go pro at the beginning of next year after I go through the Camel State tournament, and you know, whatever whoever calls me up, that's what I'm gonna do next. So
absolutely dominating performance, Vince. We can't wait to your next fight. Catch all the post-fight coverage on SRMMA.com. The new Titans Cage light heavyweight champion.
Thank you so much.
The female fight on the card, Bethany Del Cid, you might have seen on SRMMA.com, was set to take on Arlene Culbreth. Del Cid did not make weight and was not willing to continue to cut weight, so that fight was scratched. Also, Eric Gomez versus Humberto Velasco was also scratched from the card. Rafael Hernandez took on Dao Tep in an attempt to get Tep's title. He was victorious in doing that, and we spoke to Hernandez after the bout, so let's hear what he had to say.
It's Jay Watt, SRMMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 5 with the new flyweight champion. I mean, how did it feel, you know, after the fight to go the full distance?
It felt good. It was the first time I've been in a 3-minute rounds. Like, I didn't know, like, even though we train like that every day, it's different when you're in the cage. But, like, I felt good going into the third. I felt like I needed to get that takedown to win it, but even though I didn't do it, like, I still held the cage control, and like I was just trying to be smart not to get knocked out because he was a great stand-up guy. So,
well, the decision ended up being split. I mean, did you feel like it was a split, or did you feel like you most assuredly won a couple of those rounds?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be close. Going into the third, they already told me, they're like, if I get him to the cage, I have to get that takedown to make it clear that I'm winning the round. Because even though I had him against the cage, like, I wasn't doing as much as I should have been doing. I could have been doing more. And so I knew it was going to be close. But I'm just glad it went my way.
Well, Dao Tepe was able to throw some really clean strikes. It looked like he was able to use his range whenever you weren't up close to him. I mean, did you feel that in the fight? Is that why you were trying to keep him against the cage as much as possible?
Yeah, like, at first, like, when he first threw the head kick, like, I was like, okay. Like, he wasn't even setting it up, so I was like, all right, he's just going to start throwing. So I was like, I need to close the range, like, right away. And into the third, like, after the ref broke us up, I was just like, all right, just be smart. Like, I knew it was close, but I felt like I had done enough to win, so I was just like, don't get knocked out or anything. Don't do nothing stupid. And, like, waited it out pretty much.
Well, I wanted to ask you, after the fight, or after the night's over, all your boys seem to be champions now. I mean, how does that feel to be with a group of guys and now you're all amateur champions?
That was awesome. Like, afterwards, we just got in there, took pictures, and we just, like, said a quick little prayer and, like, told everyone we're happy for each other and just, like, did our, 1, 2, 3 win. It was awesome. It feels awesome to be in that kind of environment, just around winning guys. They know what it takes to get it done.
Well, last thing I want to ask you, everybody celebrates a different way. How are you going to celebrate the new title?
Ice cream. I love ice cream. That's where I'm going. San Francisco, there's like a kitchen sink ice cream.
Nice.
I'm going to go devour that. I'm on my way.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for talking to us, champion.
Thank you again. Thank you for having me.
Joseph Morales was able to defeat Rocky Reyes, and we were able to speak to Morales after the bout. He was able to talk to us about what he thought of winning another title and being involved with Team Alpha Male. So let's hear his thoughts.
This is Angelo Avila from SRMMA.com. We are here live at the Titans Cage 5 with the new Titans Cage featherweight champion, Joseph Morales from Team Alpha Male.
Bantamweight champion.
Bantamweight,
Yeah,
my apologies. Bantamweight championship. Joseph Morales, incredible fight. Talk us through it.
First round, I wanted to stand with him. I knew I had better striking, but I had injured my ankle in training camp, and so when he went to take me down, I rolled my ankle. I tried my best to. He's really tough. I knew in the second round that I had him hurt. Time ran out. Came back in the third. My arms were kind of dead, and I just tried to do what I can to finish the fight.
All of your fights are by finish, including a lot of submission wins. I noticed you did a lot of ground and pound in that fight. Was that the plan going in, trying to TKO him?
Yes, I had a lot of submissions already, and I kind of wanted to show my striking. Like I said, I rolled my ankle. I wanted to get a knockout victory or TKO victory just to have it on my record.
Well, this corner threw in the towel towards the end of that fight, so you did get your TKO victory. What are your plans for the future? Are we going to see you in the Titans Cage defend that belt?
Yes, I'm still training. I'm probably going to take a week off and just rest up, but as soon as I can, I'm going to be back in there.
All right, right on. Thank you so much, Joseph. Congratulations. You are the new Titans Cage Bantamweight champion.
Thank you.
The main event of the evening was Angelo Trevino defending his 170-pound title against Robert Payne by rear naked choke. We were able to speak to the champ after the title bout, so let's hear what he had to say.
This is Shaywa from SRMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 5 post-fight. Once again, you're able to defend your title, 170-pound champion, Angelo Baby Monster Trevino. And what'd you think about this opponent, and did he bring you anything different than you've seen inside the cage before?
Well, I was expecting just a stand-up guy. He had a really good takedown defense when I wanted to take him down. I wanted to stand up with him, but just felt kind of awkward, so I went to my roots, and yeah, he was a really tough guy.
Well, it looked like his striking was a little bit awkward, like you talked about before the Taekwondo. I mean, now that you were actually able to see it inside the cage, what do you think about what he was able to bring your way?
I thought he was really tough. He's an undefeated fighter. I knew he was going to be tough, but man, I just have to be ready for everything. When I train, I'm ready for everything, and I was.
Well, in this fight, it was another grueling victory. It came really close down to like the wire. You know, you were able to dominate in most of the wrestling aspects. Did you feel like you were going to be able to dominate in the wrestling, and is that why you took it there?
Yeah, I felt like I was going to dominate. He had really good scrambles on the ground. Just felt like I was uncomfortable on the ground, which is really unusual, but you know, I made sure that I was calm and I capitalized.
Well, also on the card, you know, so many of your alpha male teammates were able to become amateur champions as well. How does it feel to be able to celebrate with all those guys?
Oh, I just thank God. All my friends are champions, you know, I'm a champion, and we're just going to celebrate tonight.
Last thing I wanted to ask you, you know, you've been celebrating title defenses. Is there anything you're going to do differently, or just going to spend time with the family and team?
Family, of course, but sleep more.
Well, you can find more post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thank you so much for talking to us, champ.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, included our Titans Cage 5 coverage. You can check out much more of that stuff this week on SRMA.com, on Twitter at SRMMA Tweets, and on Facebook /SRMMA. We're here in studio with Scott Moda. Mr. Moda Man, I wanted to ask you, my friend, Boz Rutan was able to speak to Josh Barnett about his upcoming bout against Frank Mir.
Oh.
What do you think about this heavyweight matchup?
I'm excited to see what Barnett can do in the UFC. I'm glad he made it back. He's one of the guys who did make it back. The never will come back, and now he's back. I'm happy for him.
Well, here on Verbal Scrap, brought to you by Lana's Egg Whites and Bulletproof Energy Drink, we're about to hear just a snippet of Josh Barnett talking about fighting Frank Mir. And I have to say, when I was aware that Frank Mir was going to be competing again, I thought he wasn't going to take a fight that soon.
Right,
I thought he was going to be out for a little while. But like I said, Barnett's going to be talking right now.
Suddenly you're back in the UFC. How great was that? How did it happen?
Oh, he said 11 years. I was like, I didn't think anybody knew about that. I just found out recently.
Well, but who was the instigator, so to say? Did you ask him?
Well, I was kind of drunk.
For real?
No. Instigator. I'm usually the aggressor in all things, but I just think that with today's MMA landscape, the things I've been up to, the way the UFC is going and trying to build that heavyweight division to epic status, just sort of fit.
So who are you training with? Matt Mitrione
Matt
here?
Mitrione is out here doing his camp in preparation to fight Brendan Schaub. Also, Bobby Lashley's out here finishing up his camp. And then we've got a whole little slew of guys that work around with us. We don't really need a lot. We just need the right people.
who's the guy who would be imitating Frank Mir? Because Frank Mir, I got to say, I always said his cardio was not really that good, but his last fight, he tripled up on his cardio. He's in really good shape right now.
I don't really think we're going to have an imitator for Frank Mir. I just think that with that giant back piece tattoo, it'd be hard to find somebody that could really fill in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not that that's going to do anything, but it's very true. We take a look at what happened with you. We have a nice little thing of that.
I love graphs.
When you left
pictures.
the UFC, look here. You know, your record, 19-5, number of decisions, only 5 from the 24 matches that you have, and you're like Elizabeth Taylor, you know, you had like 10 promotions. She got married like 10 times or something, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
That's a lot of promotions.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm a little bit of a MMA slut.
What do you think about Josh Barnett being a little bit of an MMA slut?
Well, there's some history there if you're going to talk about the other organizations, how they went, but I hope he's cleaned up and he can come over here. And what are they calling him now? He's not the babyface assassin anymore. What is he now?
He's an MMA slut. He just said so.
Yeah, well, I get that.
I'm quoting him directly.
All right, I'm excited. I want to see how he does.
Well, what do you think? Last question on this about Barnett's stay away from the UFC though. He has been able to do pretty well.
No, he's done incredible. Well, he did really well in the Strikeforce tournament. I mean, even that fight with Daniel.
What it turned out to be.
Yeah. Well, you know, it didn't go the way people really wanted, but it was still exciting. By the end, Daniel Cormier became a star. And it was through that Barnett fight that it really impressed people enough to say, "Hey, these Strikeforce guys are awesome. They're heavyweights, and well, we've seen the guys coming in; they're just kicking major ass in the UFC." But that was a fight that woke up Dana White. I remember that. You know, I don't handle Strikeforce. I don't talk about. You got to talk.
I don't do Strikeforce. I don't do women fights.
Yeah.
I don't like Tito.
Yeah. That whole thing. He wouldn't talk about it, but that was one he did talk about. It was like, yeah, Barnett fight with Cormier. That was a really good fight. And I was like, well, see, there we go. Finally getting his respect.
Oh no, something's gonna happen with Barnett. It's gonna happen. Well, here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, which you are downloading and subscribing on iTunes, right, Mr. Moda?
Yes.
That's what I like to hear. All you fans that do it as well, we appreciate your time, and really it means a lot when you guys share it. You can check us out on Twitter at SRMMA Tweets and on Facebook, facebook.com/SRMMA. Anthony the Shark Avila, WFC lightweight champ, going to be traveling the pond. I don't, is it called the pond if you go to Japan, though? Or is it just if you go to, like, England?
I think that's England.
But isn't it, like, bigger to go to Japan? Isn't it like a lake, then? I'm just saying.
There's an ocean.
Well, I know technically, I'm talking about speaking, like that's not a pond to go to England. I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
So we're here on the podcast. We're going to be listening to Anthony Avila talking about his upcoming bout against Cal Uno in Japan, June 22nd. Going to be fighting in Vale Tudo 2. Let's hear it now, and then let's wrap it up with some amazing thoughts from Mr. Moda.
Oh, okay.
It's JWA from SRMA.com. We're on the Verbal Scrap Podcast talking to West Coast Fighting lightweight champion Anthony the Shark Avila. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing great. I hear you're going to be going overseas later on this month. You're going to be fighting a huge fight in Japan, June 22nd. I mean, tell me more about it.
Yeah, man. Before this last fight that I had contacted a guy named Shindo about my old fight tape from Shark Fight, and he just happened to ask me, like, hey, man, he told me he didn't have it, but he also said, hey, man, are you interested in fighting over here in Japan? And I was like, yeah, sure, against who? And then he said, Cal Uno, and I was like, oh, man, yeah, for sure. But I thought they were going to just leave me out in the cold. I didn't hear nothing from them, and then when I went on my West Coast fight, fought that fight, and then even before I got home that night after the fight, they already had emailed me like, hey, congratulations on your win. We want you to come out still, so.
Well, you're going to be fighting Cal Uno, like you said, a guy that's been around since like the UFC 30s. What do you think about him and what you've been able to see throughout his career? I mean, did you ever think you'd be coming across this guy in the cage?
No, man. I mean, when you start off, like, it's all hopes and dreams, Like, I wish to be fighting a high-caliber fighter and a big name such as someone like him, but I never thought it'd actually happen, and it's just, it's great that it's finally here,
Well, he just came off of a big submission victory in the first round. I mean, you yourself have been collecting first-round victories like it's nothing. I mean, what do you think about what this matchup might bring you, knowing that he's got a ton of finishes on his card?
Oh, man, that doesn't matter. I'm going to stick to my game, go out there and do my best. Maybe I didn't win by submission the last fight. I got TKO, but if a TKO comes this way again, then that's great. Submission, or even if I have to grind him out for 3 rounds. Just to win over this guy in general, even if it's a split, close decision, which I hope it's not. I mean, it's still amazing, you know?
Well, you know, if you're traveling around to different cities, you know, fighting in guys' backyards, that doesn't seem to be too bad considering, you know, you're all from America. This time you're going to be traveling to Japan. I mean, what do you think about the potential travel, the layover there? I mean, how's that going to affect your weight cut and stuff like that?
I'm actually kind of worried about the whole jet lag thing, but I'll be all right. It doesn't matter where fights can happen. You know, it's no matter what, it's still a fight. They're just a little bit different over there, but I think he's going to have more trouble with my style than I should have with his.
Well, being a fighter, when you go over to a place like Japan, I mean, do you have the fight in your mind? But at some point, you got to be thinking you're going to be wandering around Japan, traveling, doing something, right? I mean, do you have anything planned for you outside of the ring while you're there?
Oh, I mean, I'm never really worried about the fight. I don't even really think about the fight, you know, even when it's here. So I'm excited to go to Japan. The fight's gonna happen. I don't think about it, and yeah, it's gonna happen no matter what.
Well, also on the card, you got Daniel Romero's going to be traveling over there with you. I mean, who are you bringing with you, and what's that team atmosphere going to be like when you're traveling away from home? You're traveling out of the United States, and you're definitely going into someone else's territory.
You know, that's amazing to have some, you know, home feeling with me. It's great. You know, he has a tough, very, very tough fight. I mean, my fight's tough as well, but he has a really good fight as well. But I'm bringing my boxing coach, Joseph Guevara, with me. And, I mean, you know, it's great just to be able to have somebody there because, you know, I'm be bored and lonely. I actually just went, me and a group of my friends were in a big group chat through iMessage and stuff, so I went and bought an iPad specifically so I could communicate. You know, I could hook up to Wi-Fi and still communicate with my friends and family back home.
Well, that's something I was going to ask you. You know, how long you plan on being over there? You going for a week before, a couple weeks before, and how long do you plan on staying afterwards? Is it going to be like a big, long ordeal for you, or you want to get in, get out?
I'm actually going to go in there. I'll be out there for like a week. I leave like the 17th. The fight's on the 22nd, and then I come back the 24th or the 25th.
Well, this point in particular, just a few more things for you. I mean, Cal was in the UFC as recently as 2010. Your obvious goal is to get there. Where do you think a win over a guy like this and a name like this would put you in that run? Do you think that's a kind of a tipping point for you?
I think that's exactly what I needed, you know. I hope this does enough. I'm starting to think that I might have to start to look at other options as far as, like, me, as the meantime, you know, like, take up another league. But, I mean, my ultimate goal is to go straight to the UFC, you know.
Well, last thing I wanted to ask you, I mean, this fight, you got this one coming up, you got the lightweight title for West Coast in the bag. I mean, are you hoping that after this, you know, you'll be able to fill out the rest of your schedule, or are you planning on taking any time off? I mean, do you want to stay active for the rest of the year if this goes well?
Yeah, man, I want to stay active. Like I said, you know, I'm not the type of person that calls people out or nothing. I want to fight that Ryan Burton guy. That's Andre Feely in the background. Don't listen to him. He called out every person you know, every fighter you know. Anthony's called out. Name one. Sean Evans. That's Andre Feely, the pound for pound best in Northern California. But as far as like I said, I don't like to call people out, but I really want to fight that Ryan Burton guy. Maybe I know I heard Gladiator don't want to allow that. So maybe Brandon Ware over there at West Coast Championships is gonna set up that belt for belt. I'll put him my belt for his belt.
Well, that's something that's definitely potentially in the works. They got a lot coming up for the rest of the year. I wanted to give you the opportunity to give some thanks and shout outs while you're still here, my friend.
Yeah, man, I want to give a shout out to all my friends. I first want to give a shout out to my team Alpha Male. You know, I love you guys. You guys made me to the fighter and the person that I am today. My management over there at MMA Inc., all my friends, all my roommates, everybody from the group chat, Foley's. There's a group called Foley's. They just sponsor me as well. Thank you guys to you guys. All my followers on Instagram, you know, you guys are great. And tell everybody I'm single. I'm officially single. Tell all the girls I'm single now. So follow me on Instagram and get in contact with me.
Well, if you're interested in copping a date with my man Anthony Avila, you can always tweet us at SRMA Tweets, #catch-a-date. We're going to start that right now on this Verbal Scrap podcast. I want to thank you for your time, Anthony, and I want to wish you the best of luck in Japan.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
You're here on the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap podcast, the best 43rd show, period. I've had an outstanding episode with my co-host in studio. I'd like to take this time to point out that the original co-host, you guys might be listening to Shro, he copped out. Apparently he was drinking a little bit too much recently and decided he didn't want to make it into work because he was nursing being a baby.
Yeah.
So... now that I've taken the opportunity to put that out on air and make sure if he listens to it, he can come contact me because he knows where to find me. I want to say you've done a great job, Mr. Moda, in replacing him.
Thank you.
And I don't see you as a scab. Literally, you could totally fill in as a replacement. Anytime, Shro. Anytime. Today on the 43rd episode, I wanted to give you the opportunity to make one bold prediction about MMA, about the UFC. Just something bold. Maybe something you've been checking out in your mind or thinking about on the horizon. Maybe a matchup. Maybe a win. Maybe organizations coming together to make super PACs. I don't know. Just something. What's some crazy thought you've been having that may or may not come true? You think might actually happen in the future?
Well, it'd be awesome if we could get Madison Square Garden, and if we could get, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it'd be cool to have, or a stadium fight. Dallas Stadium would be great. Like a John Jones and someone. I know super fights, everyone's like, oh, that sucks, but Anderson Silva's so good, and I'd love to see that. And
so are you saying, so I can put you like in a pigeonhole here?
Yes.
Your bold prediction would be Anderson Silva, John Jones, Dallas Cowboys Stadium?
Yeah, some kind of stadium. Yeah.
Man, that's an epic prediction.
That would be beautiful.
And I hope that they go ahead and extend us some free tickets because it was made here on the Verbal Scrap podcast.
That's it.
I wanted to thank all you guys for listening. Oh, and Deadlands, it's Reverb Nation /Deadlands Music. That's the link if you like to check out more of the band we played earlier today. Remember, this episode is brought to you by Muay Thai Global 2. Their show's going to be happening Saturday, June 8th. Check out MuayThaiGlobal.net for ticket information and more. You checked out so many things today, from Tahoe to Japan. I don't know how you could ask for more. And if you do, subscribe to the 44th episode because we will have a lot more. I promise you that. Any final thoughts or thank yous or anything you'd like to give a shout out to, Mr. Moda?
I appreciate you having us and supporting the local scene, supporting the fighters out there. You guys have an excellent show. And check out my band, Legion's Requiem. I play lead guitar for it now. Willy Woos. And go listen to our music on Facebook and Reverb Nation, and I'll love you for it.
And if you guys are interested and still listening, which I really hope you are, you can win free merchandise. Just tweet us something on Twitter with the hashtag MMA Gold, and you're automatically entered to win, and we will tweet you right back if you are our winner. And you know what? Why not? I'll announce it on the next show.
Oh, that's a good deal.
How awesome is that?
Real awesome.
And you won't know unless you subscribe on iTunes or listen at SRMA.com. If you're interested in contributing, writing, photography, interested in putting on ads or letting us know about your show, getting involved with us, you can email info@srma.com or me directly, jw@srma.com for more. You've been listening to the 43rd episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, and if you're listening now, you're listening today.